I threw my phone across the room last year. Nothing dramatic had happened. No crisis. No catastrophe. Just one too many things going wrong on one too many consecutive days. And something in me finally said enough. And I stood there looking at my phone on the floor and thought, where did that come from? Because anger rarely announces itself. It builds quietly, underneath the surface, collecting small deposits from every frustration you swallowed, every boundary that got crossed, every moment you held it together when everything in you wanted to react. And then something small happens, something almost insignificant, and the whole thing comes out sideways. Most people think anger is the problem. It isn't. Anger is information. It's telling you something real, that a boundary was violated, that an injustice occurred, that something you love is being threatened. The problem is never the anger itself. The problem is what we do with it when it arrives uninvited. Moses understood this better than most. Here was a man who had every reason to be angry, raised in privilege only to discover his true identity, spent 40 years in obscurity after fleeing Egypt, called back to lead an entire nation of people who complained constantly, doubted repeatedly, and pushed every limit he had. And Moses, the Bible tells us, was the most humble man on the face of the earth, not the least angry, the most humble, because those two things are connected in ways most people never consider. Humility doesn't mean you don't feel anger. It means you don't let your anger make decisions that your wisdom wouldn't. But here's the part of Moses' story that most people gloss over. One moment of unmanaged anger cost him the promised land. After decades of faithful leadership, after miracles and plagues and parting seas, one moment where his anger spoke louder than his wisdom, and he struck a rock he was only supposed to speak to. And God said, "You will not enter the land." That's not a small consequence. That's a lifetime of faithfulness overshadowed by one unmanaged moment. Anger is not your enemy, but unmanaged anger is one of the most expensive things you will ever carry. It costs you relationships, opportunities, respect, and sometimes the very things you worked your entire life to build. So today I want to ask you something honest. What are you actually angry about? Not the phone, not the traffic, not the coworker who got on your last nerve. What is the thing underneath the thing? Because until you answer that question honestly, the anger will keep finding new exits. I'm Ricky, and I'll be honest, anger is something I have had to learn to manage intentionally my entire adult life. It is a daily practice, not a one-time decision, but it is worth practicing. Because the people on the other side of your unmanaged anger are usually the ones you love the most. Now go share this with someone who has been carrying more underneath the surface than the people around them realize. And then go out and have an amazing day on purpose.